Hello, so I just crawled out of the hallway after an air raid and hopefully have around half an hour to record this video before the next one because the drones are on their way. Let's do this, okay? So I came with a little update. Again, my mind is just a jello. I'm incapable of thinking. So I haven't slept for 4 days, but I kind of slept last night, even though I was waking up in the middle of the night thinking like, oh my god, why am I not in shelter? I probably slept through some air raid and I didn't hear the alarm. And but last night there was the biggest attack on Ukraine during the entire war. Again, I'm not a journalist, so please go research it. Just go and see what they did. I will be sitting here for the entirety of the half an hour that I have if I'm going to number everything that they did. It was terrible, and I mean, the night before last, I did not sleep, at all, because at like around 11 p.m. There was an air raid that meant that the drones got here. And again, as you know, the drones are here every single night. So I went to the hallway and I kind of started waiting. I mean, I don't think that even since the beginning I was even in the hallway. I was just in my bed with my phone in my hands, looking at the chats that were telling where they are flying. And since they were kind of flying in the area like Odesa Oblast, right, Odesa region, not directly towards Odesa, I was staying like in bed just watching for the updates. But then they came towards Odesa, and not just towards Odesa, towards the area where I live. So I grabbed my birds. My webcam doesn't want to focus. Come on. Here I am. Okay. I grabbed my birds and I went to the hallway to kind of sit and wait what's gonna happen. And when they were definitely coming towards my area, I went to the bomb shelter to my neighbor's building in the basement. And while I was sitting there, yes, we heard the drones. They were flying so close that even in the underground in the basement, we heard these motors, and not just heard them, we heard them so loud that people started praying. Like I'm not religious, but people around me were praying because it felt like it was just, yeah, it was gonna hit the building. But after the kind of, it was a really long attack again because they used the most amount of drones. I don't know, some say that it was around 60, some say it was around 90. And obviously not, it wasn't all of them towards Odesa, but it means that it was a really, really long attack because they spread them out in time. But it was an insane amount of drones. I mean, to me, it felt like it was over 100 with all the messages saying another group, another group, another group. We saw another group and yet another group, and oh my god, another group is coming. It felt like, honestly, to me, it felt like over 100. And while we were sitting there, like hoping that maybe at around 3 a.m. they will finally stop, there was the news that the planes that usually perform these mass attacks on Ukraine, they took flight and they were heading towards the launching area. And it meant that we had to wait for like around 2 hours for them to get to the Caspian Sea. Then we have to wait for another hour or two for the missiles to get here, and then it's another hour or two, or maybe even 3, until the air defense will take them all out and the attacks will stop and we will be able to go home. So yes, I was sitting in that basement from around like, let's say 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. Like 7 a.m. was the moment that I went home because I kind of saw that there were no new launches and they were just catching the last missiles flying around. That was like one of the hardest nights that I ever endured. And after that, we had a day of power outages because, yes, they were targeting infrastructure. And as they say, this one night of attacks was worse than the entire last year of attacks on infrastructure. And you remember what last year was. So yeah, I had no power. I had it Okay, I woke up, there was no power, then they turned on the power for 2.5 hours, then they turned it off again for like 7 hours, then they turned it on for 2.5 hours again, and then they turned it on at night. And today, this morning, I woke up and the power was still on. And I don't want to jinx it, but we still have the power. I don't know. I mean, we technically, according to the official news, we are having this scheduled blackouts because the day before there were emergency blackouts. We have different kinds of blackouts. It's not just a blackout. There's a kind of blackouts that, like an emergency, it means that there is no telling when it happens. If you don't have the power, just deal with it because they're fixing it as fast as they can, but they cannot give you any time frame for when it will be. Scheduled blackout means that there is not enough energy in the system to power up all the buildings, so they are spreading it, but they they know how much energy they have, and they can create a schedule for this amount of energy. I'm sorry, it's kind of dark. My webcam doesn't want to focus. Come on, you're okay with that, right? Anyway, so that was kind of how it was last day. I don't even remember. Was it last day? Was it today? What are days? I don't even know anymore. This sounds of alarms, if you hear them. This is updates about where the drones are going. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I wanted to say. I am really upset that that little incident that happened in Russia, and that happens actually if you look at the news every single time after the election in Russia. A terrorist act happened. I don't know why. I mean, I don't even care, really. I don't give a single shit. I mean, I mean, you know, when there was this announcement about that the embassies said, like, you know, please, citizens of the UK, Canada, Great Britain, whatever, please stay away from public gatherings because we have the information that terrorist act is kind of, what do you call it, they're being prepared in Moscow and St. Petersburg. We had so many memes in Ukraine. Yes, I know we are so cruel and, I don't know, inhumane, whatever, call it whatever, but we were expecting them, we were waiting for them, because we just want for the Russians to feel what we feel. We want them. I mean, if you remember, I told you I had many Russian. Okay, that was not a car. I hope that was our plane. I hope that okay, it couldn't be a missile, right? Okay, that was really scary. Whew, where was I? Yeah. That was really scary, sorry. I need to calm down now. Yeah, okay, they texted that this is our plane. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it doesn't usually fly over the city. Jesus Christ, can you stop? That is so scary. I don't know if you can hear it. Oh my god. Oh. But they're patrolling. I know that they're patrolling and making sure that we are safe. It's okay. It's okay. If it's gonna be danger, I will have an air raid alarm. My phone is with me. And all of my chats are with me. Sorry. Okay, back to what I was talking about. Oh yeah, I was talking about my Russian friends who no longer talk to me. I'm still kind of a part of some group chats with those friends, and sometimes something happens in Russia. I go there to just watch, to see if they talk about it, because like I talk with all of my friends, we talk about the war all of the time, and they don't talk about anything. They just pretend that nothing happens. Even when Prigozhin was marching on Moscow, they did not discuss it. And even right now, even after this terrorist attack, they don't discuss it. I don't know what has to happen, but I just need them. I just need to see them talk about it. I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, you know, we can talk about Russians as an abstract idea, but I actually know the people from Russia, and I watch them act like nothing is going on. And I don't have the name for this feeling that it makes me feel, but it makes me feel a certain way. So anyway, I was kind of expecting those. I know that this is horrible. I mean, if you look at this like kind of in a vacuum, right? It makes me sound like such a terrible person, like horrible person, like cruel, senseless, hard. I don't know. But I needed them to kind of move because they don't protest, they don't object, they don't condemn what is happening. I need to something to happen that will make them finally start moving, talking, act. I don't know. I mean, anyway. But actually, when it happened, I feel nothing. I don't care. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know what else to say. But I am really upset that the rest of the world kind of cares to the point that we had the most massive and devastating attack in the entirety of the 10-year war. For 10 years, it was the most terrible attack. I was sitting in the basement for 8 hours. I did not sleep an entire night. I went to bed at 7 o'clock. Then at 11, I woke up, saw that I have no electricity and there is emergency power outages. And the first news article that I saw was that the US asks Ukraine not to target Russian oil refineries. It was a bad morning and it was a terrible day. Most of it I slept, as you can imagine, like in bits and pieces, and my head hurts. Like it's a constant, it just hurts on a regular. I mean, I'm not even taking meds because it is just, I live with it now. Anyway, but yeah, people talk about Moscow now. Nobody, I mean, I'm not saying that nobody is talking about the biggest attack on Ukraine, but I mean, today I'm not gonna say the names, but I was on my Instagram. I saw an foreign European artist that I follow and I respected for many years, like over a decade, and they were talking about what a terrible tragedy happened in Moscow. And yes, I went to the comment section and I said that, you know, I understand that you feel like that. I mean, it's probably natural. I don't know, probably natural for a human being not in my conditions, right, to feel grief and sympathy for that. But I mean, you said nothing about what happened in Ukraine like less than 24 hours before. And they were talking in the comments about how this is not Pain Olympics and it doesn't matter, the violence is violence, and you cannot compare and you cannot separate like tragedies based on what country they happened in and what color of the skin of these people. Okay, but you wrote 2 posts about Moscow and 0 posts about Ukraine. Like, I mean, okay, again, I'm trying to be understanding. You know me, I always try to understand everybody. I mean, this is just my natural personality trait. I always want to understand the other person, even if I can't. I mean, I watch the interviews with Russian prisoners because I want to understand. I don't for 2 years. I don't, but I want to. I need to get that head and look inside of it. How is the logical process working? So I try to understand, and I do understand it on, like, you know, logical level. But okay, one of those events, if we remove the emotions from it, okay, one of those events, violence is violence, I agree, but one of those events is a terrorist act. Okay, there is an error. Unfortunately, I cannot finish recording this video. I will finish it later. See you. You know what, let's just continue in the hallway. Since it's a ballistic threat, I cannot go to the basement of my neighbors because when it's ballistics, I only have around 30 seconds to jump behind 2 walls because I have around 30 seconds. If it's drones, I have a little longer. If it's drones, I have usually around 15 minutes. And if it's planes, but not ballistic missiles, they usually see the planes before they even get to launches. So I also have around 5 to 7 minutes. So yeah, right now I can't even go to the shelter. I have to stay in my hallway. Anyway, so I was talking about what I was talking about. Okay, yeah, about that artist who posted about Moscow. One of these events is a terrorist act, the other of these events is genocide, right? So one of these events, if you give it attention and, public platform, it doesn't help the victims, and it only helps the terrorist government who probably orchestrated this event, and it takes away attention from the genocide victims who kind of need the attention to get the help, because we haven't been getting help from the US for half a year. And here I am in the hallway for the, I don't know, fourth, fifth time today. No, I think it. Yeah, maybe there is a difference about what events you are talking about. Sorry. Okay, everything is good. I'm checking the messages. Um. So yeah, it really upset me, and as you can see, you can kind of, yeah. This is the video. You can see my level of upset. Um. So I guess this was what I wanted to say. Please research this attack, because they hit the dam again, the other dam. But I mean, it didn't break, but there was some damage to the ecology. Some oil got spilled into the river. You can imagine what damage it will do. I don't want to sit here and number all of the things that they did. So please do it yourself, because again, even in those persons' comment section, as I was talking about, you know, I understand, but maybe you should give attention to Ukraine instead, not to Russia, because bringing attention to Russia takes away attention from Ukraine in this particular case. And people were messaging like, "Oh, I didn't even know that something happened in Ukraine that night." I mean, and that's my point. That is exactly my point. Yeah, that artist later wrote a second post about how shocked they were about the comments in their on their. I mean, basically, yeah, they dedicated two posts to Moscow and and again zero to Ukraine. I know that I am biased, and I know that I sound like I only want for people to talk about me, but this is my agenda. Like, this is literally my survival depends on it. So I have to talk about it, because if I don't talk about it, I die. It is really simple, you know. Okay, so I don't remember if I wanted to tell you anything else. Here I am. I guess there will be another night that I don't sleep, I assume. So I'll be getting ready to get to the basement. I need to again catch my birds. Here are my birds, by the way. This is my hallway. This is where I spend a lot of my time, just sitting on the floor in this blanket. And this is the huge cage where my birds live. No, they're sleeping. I don't know if you can see them. But yeah, I have to catch them, put them in the carrier cage, and go to the basement to my neighbors across the street. And hopefully, if everything goes well, first I survive, second I get to go to bed at around 3 o'clock. Um, I'm so exhausted. You have no idea. There is no words to explain the level of exhaustion that I'm experiencing. So, oh yeah, buy me a coffee approved my page. I forgot to wrote about it. I will. So we're all clear. Thank you for buying me a coffee for, I mean, approving it. I know that they took a long time to really look through it, and a lot of Ukrainian creators and pro-Ukrainian creators actually had to flee Patreon, and because Patreon blocked them, like Russians report their pages, and Patreon just blocks these pages. So yes, a lot of them found their place exactly on Buy Me a Coffee. I'm really glad that I was originally on Buy Me a Coffee, so I didn't have to switch. I was already here. So my blog is safe. The updates will continue. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, I guess. I don't know. I will go deal with survival. So bye. Hello again. Let's do a part 2. So it is several days later. I don't even remember if it was 2 or 3 days later after I recorded the last video, because time is just a blob. I don't remember how many days passed. But I'm again in the hallway during the day because there is a threat of missiles. And okay, you probably saw that in the end of last video I got a little giggly and giddy. That was because I started seeing notifications pop up on my phone saying that there were explosions in Crimea. And I realized that what was those planes were doing that you kind of heard flying past. You remember, right? Oh, such beautiful sounds now that I know that what that were. Um, but that night that I recorded those two videos, I sat in the hallway until around 1 a.m. Then it was the end of the air raid, but at the end of that air raid, we received news that 14 planes took flight in Russia and they were heading to the Caspian Sea. But we had about 2 hours until they get to the Caspian Sea. So I slept for 2 hours. And then there was another air raid at 3 o'clock, 3:30, something like that. I don't remember. And since it was a mass attack again, I took my birds, put them in their small cage, went to the basement, and sat in the basement until 6 a.m. And then I came home and went to bed. And at 9 o'clock, I had to be up and stuff. But yeah, still did not get enough sleep. But it was kind of an average night because I managed to sleep for 2 or 3 hours. This is considered an average night, not a good night, not a bad night, but just an average. So yeah, I'm not feeling well. I'm not doing well, because of all of this. Obviously, I'm sleep deprived, like terribly. But I lost appetite. I cannot. I cannot eat. I mean, even if I know that I have to eat, I cannot. I took like a little, what do you call it? A can of yogurt, and I sit over, and I just, I know that I have to eat it, and here it is. And again, it's if you read one of my first posts ever, you will remember that there was again on the day of the 21st February 2022. It was the same thing. I sat over a bag. What do you call it? Not a bag of yogurt. Not again. My birds are here. Yeah, they are eating something and chirping. What I was talking about. Yeah. So I have lots of problems with my stomach because you have some stomach issues and you need to go to the basement to the neighbors, and you know that if you go, you have just it's I don't know what to say. It's frustrating, annoying, uncomfortable, unfortunate, and stuff like that. So yeah, I am trying. I know that I have to eat. Yes, yes, my little ones. What do you want? So kind of here we are today. I what did I sleep? I slept today. Yeah. Until around 2 o'clock, we had a drone attack, and since 2 o'clock, I slept. It was amazing. Sleep is so underrated. If you can get your nightly sleep, please do it for me. Just I can sleep. Maybe you can do it for me. Do it for me. Um, but yeah, I slept, and at 9 o'clock, I was awoken by a missile threat. It was a ballistic missile, two ballistic missiles. They, in 2 minutes, crossed all the way from Crimea to Kiev, across the entire country. Luckily, thankfully, Kiev has Patriots, and they were shut down. Still, since it is, it is a 10-meter missile that weighs 3 ton. Um, it's like basically a size of an average truck with explosive. Okay, so imagine that flying at 2,000 meters per second, and yeah, it got exploded. Luckily, thankfully, it was exploded in the air, so all of the basically explosive parts, it happened in the air, but it's still like this truck still fell on the buildings, and we have some ruined buildings, and people are injured. So far, I did not see any mentions of the dead people, which is like in Ukraine, it is like considered a great ending of an attack. Nobody died. And right now, I'm sitting here in the hallway because again, there is a threat of missiles. So yeah, that was in the morning. There was this air raid. Then I tried to eat. I made myself oatmeal because it's good for your stomach. and it took me like around an hour and a half to finish a bowl of oatmeal because I kept just spacing out, sitting on over the bowl, just I don't know, looking at the bowl and not having any thoughts or just what do you want? And then I had to go to get some groceries and to pick up a parcel from the post. And it was actually nice to go outside. It was raining, but it was still amazing, and I was really happy to be out. And the moment I came back home, there was a second air raid. So here we are. I hoping that it will be over before I have to do some work. We have scheduled outages, and the entire city, like as you walk past the city, is again roaring with generators. It's just again another sound that we're used to it. So basically, my mobile connection when I have a power outage doesn't work well. I don't have cell connection, internet connection, any kind of connection. So last year I managed to kind of there is this type of internet, I don't know what it's called and stuff like that, but basically it should work without electricity, but you need a what do you call it, UPC, a special power bank for that, for the router, for the thingy, basically. And I bought it last year. Ironically, I bought it exactly at the moment that the power outages stopped, so I didn't use it last year. But I was like, okay, so if anything happens, I have that thing. So the first ever power outage, and that thing doesn't work. It worked when I bought it, but it's not working. So basically, that's what I'm saying. I spent 1,600 hryvnias on that thing, and it's not working. So I either have to fix it or buy a new one, and it's another expense that I don't want to do because I already spent money on other things. So it's annoying. I have to solve that problem, but if I have a power outage for now, I am without connection. And again, this is annoying because it can interfere with my work, and I have to plan around that and go to like a cafe or I don't know, any other. Oh, my neighbors slammed the door. um, so yeah, kind of something like that. Okay, I have other notifications. I'll go see what's up. I hope I survive. See you later.